Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back into my channel. So in this lab, we're going to do some hands-on with AWS EBS volume. So if you start, you would consider just click on here and just select my web server or whatever name that you give your EC2 instance. And you would consider to go to storage. And you could see that I have a volume ID, which is this here. The device name is here. The volume size is 8 gigabyte. So this volume is attached into my EC2 instances. So the attached time and all these details. The encrypted, it's yes. The key management system ID is this here. And the deletion on the termination is yes. You could replace the root volume. Now, by the way, you may wonder what is, let's see, you could close some of these unnecessary tab. Now you may wonder what is EBS with AWS. So let me just go ahead and so what is EBS? This is the best way to learn what is EBS with AWS. Now let's go here. So EBS, so Amazon Elastic Block Store. Amazon EBS is an easy to use, scalable, high performance block storage service designed for Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2. So what is EBS and how it works? How it works. So EBS encryption enables data at rest. Security by encrypting your data using Amazon management keys or keys you create and manage using the AWS Key Management System, KMS. So the encryption occurs on the servers that host EC2 instances, providing encryption of data as it moves between EC2 instance and EBS storage. So, how about we click this here? This could be pretty interesting too, but let's just click here first. So Amazon Elastic Block Storage, EBS, Elastic Block Storage provides block level storage volume to use with EC2 instances. So EBS volume behave like WAR on formatted block devices. You can mount this volume as devices on your instances. EBS volume that are attached on instance are exposed as storage volume that persists independently from the life of the instance. You can create a file system on top of these volumes or use them in any way you would use a block device such as a hard drive. You can dynamically change the configuration of a volume attached to an instance. We recommend Amazon EBS for data that must be quickly accessible and requires long-term persistence. EBS volumes are particularly well suited for use as a primary storage for file system database for any applications that requires fine granular update and access to raw unformatted block level storage. So Amazon EBS is well suited for both database style application that rely on random read and write and throughput and intensive applications that perform long continuous read and write. So basically, it's just explain here the features of EBS. You could take your time and read this yourself on Google this as I'm doing here. And How about we go back out just a little bit and just check here on EBS question and answers. What was it? Is that this one here? Don't remember. Is that this one? So Amazon Elastic Block Storage, easy to use, high performance block storage at any scale. So 30 gigabit of storage for 12 months with an AWS free tier. So it scales fast for your most demanding high performance workloads, including mission critical applications such as SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft products. So protect against failure with 99.999% availability, including replication within a availability zone, which is AZ. So 99.99999% durability with IO2 block express volume. So select the storage that best fit your workload. Volumes range from cost-effective dollar per gigabit to high performance with the fastest IOPS and throughput. So how it works? Amazon Elastic Block Storage EBS is an easy to use scalable high performance block storage service designed for Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute or Compute Cloud EC2. So there go the architecture here. You get the SSD drive base, and you have the hard disk base throughput, optimize, general purposes. So provision IOPS and the cold. So select your volume type, select the right volume type based on your application needs and costs. So attach to your Amazon EC2 instance. So you could read this and visit this yourself and see how it works. So by the way, let me just go ahead and do some hands-on with that as we speak. So basically, sorry. So the EBS volume that attached to the instance, and we have, the block device. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Let's go back out. Let's go back here. So here, sorry. So we have we can replace the we can replace the root volume, and so let's say if we were to create some, let's say if we were to create a volume added on to the one that we have here, you could just go here and click volume, or either let's say if you were here from volume here, if you click on it, you wanna, so you would have all the details. So volume ID, so it says AWS Compute Optimizer Finder, so the encryption, you have everything here. So you could just go. Now that's if you want to attach your volume into an instance, attach or detach. So what we're doing is we want to create some volume. So we will go here. So it says create volume. So I would have many options to choose from. So we have the GP2, GP3, and so on. GP2, GP3. We have provisional OPS, so I could pick either GP2 I can modify the size that I want to give that to. Let's say I want to give it like 4 gigabit of size. And then I will scroll down into the availability zone. I can choose what availability zone that I want to pick for my EC2 instance. So let's check here to see on which availability zone is my on which availability zone is my EC2 instance, so I can have it. Just a second. Let's go here. Let's click on instances. So let's select this. So it's on US East 1A. So let's go back over there. So it's already on US East 1A here. So then we can leave that. And now the other way again, you could find out your availability zone is that you could just go here, you could click on networking, and you could scroll down, and you have it here. Availability zone is US East 1A. So let's just switch back over. We can leave it as US East 1A as default. Therefore, the volume I will create is going to be on East US 1A, not B, not C. And then now because the EBS volume are bound to a special EBS, so that's good. I will have it done and create this volume, guys. Now, if you want a snapshot ID, you could. If not, you will leave everything by default. If you want to encrypt your volume, you could, but I would leave everything else as default. So let me go ahead and just create this volume. Now, as you notice that, so now my volume is created, and what I can do is, if I click on it, if I click on this volume, which is this one here, if I click on it, this one is currently not attached to any instances. So there go the volume ID. So say if we, okay, so it's available and it's not attached yet. So therefore, because it's available, what I can do is I can click on action, and I can click on action. I'm not sure why it doesn't shows. It doesn't give us any any attachment to attach our volume in. Oh, okay. So let's click the volume first, and then let's select the volume first, and then we could attach the volume into one instance. So then we need to find the instance that we would like to attach the volume into. So it's my web server is the one that's running. So let's go ahead and attach it. And now this volume is attached, into our instance. So now we have 2 EBS volume attached to it. So how do we know? Well, you could see here, let's just refresh it. How do we know those 2 volumes is attached to it? We could go here, click on instance and go here and go to storage. Now, if you look, we have two volume that's attached into this one instance. So we have one that's 8 GB. We have another one that's 4. Now there go the attachment status is this that we have we have both of them attached to them. Now if you to actually use these new block devices, it's a bit more complicated and out of the scope of like whatever that you want to learn about this. But if we were to Google Google, let's say format, EBS volume attach EC2. Let's see what we have. So let's click here. So make an Amazon EBS volume available to use on Linux. Attach after you attach on AWS. After you attach an Amazon EBS volume to your instance that is exposed to a block device, you can format the volume with any file system and then mount it. After you make the EBS volume available to use, you can access it in the same ways that you access any other volume. Any data written on this file system is written on the EBS volume and is transparent to application using the device. You can take snapshot of your EBS volume for backup purposes and or use the baseline when you create another volume. So the format is this here. So format and mount on attach volume. So if you want to learn more about attach format volume, you could take your time and just go into the AWS website and learn that yourself. But again, so let's go back here. Let's say if we were to create, another volume, go here and click volume and just hit create. And this time I could give my volume a size of 6 GB. So then I'm going to put this into a different availability zone than the one that we have had earlier. And I could just hit create volume. Now, let's just hit refresh. Let's refresh. Now, as you can tell, we have 3 volumes, one of size of 8. That was the one that the machine was, well, I mean, the EC2 web server was being made, was being had. And there's 2 volumes that we created. We created this one and we attached this one into our EC2 instance web server, and we just created this one, and this one have not been attached yet. Now, if you scroll here, you will see that there's these 2 ones here. They are on the same availability zone, but this one here is available. It's not been attached to any instance yet, but it has been in a different availability zone. So let's just go ahead and attach this one into our instances. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's let's attach this one into our instances. So we're gonna say now I'm going to show you something. So in attach volume, so what's gonna happen is, as you can see, we will not be able to attach this instance into any volume. So therefore, we can see that the EBS volume indeed are bound by a specific availability zone. And lastly, what I can do is I can take this volume and do action. I can take this volume, right, and do action and delete this value. Delete. So right on there, in a matter of a second, this volume is deleted. So if I go back let's just refresh. So now we have our instances. Let's just select it. And we go to storage. So well, then, so my block devices into this table right here. And if I scroll all the way to the right, you can see that the first one has been deleted on termination, yes, right? And the second one is no. So why is this one is yes and the other one is no? Well, I don't know if you remember, but you can go through the process of launching an instance and then you scroll and then you scroll down to storage, and if you click on advantage, let me show you. If you go to the process of launching an instance and then you go to storage, you click advance and you click here. Now you see on the deletion part, so it by default, this delete on termination attribute is yes, which makes sense, but you could set it up to no if you want to keep the root after terminating your instance. So this is explain why we see from before the yes in this table, and so this is explain why we see. Let's just go back to this instance and show you what I mean. Let's go back here. So this is kind of explain why here, we're going storage here. When we scroll all the way down, we have yes here and no here. So because by default, this delete on termination here, when you create your instance, this delete by termination here is already being selected by default, and that's why we have that. So this makes sense. But you could set it to no, like I said, after termination your instance. So and so therefore, if I go ahead and terminate my instance, if I go ahead and terminate my instance, oh, sorry. If I go ahead and terminate my instance, let me terminate it. Go to volume and just refresh. So my 8 GB volume has now if I go to volume and just hit refresh, and just hit refresh, so my 8 GB volume should be disappear. Let's see. Let's go back here to make sure that we delete it. We terminate the instance. So they go to the instance, we select it, and we terminate it. On the termination, the 8 GB volume should be disappear. Just go to instances, scroll down to volume. Refresh. This one should be disappear. Let's check. It might take some time before this take effect, but I'm sure that's what should happen. Back here. So it says successfully. So it says it's shut down, but we want it to be terminated. So what does it says? Are you sure you want to terminate this instance? Clean up associate, terminate. So yes. And refresh. Let's click on instance again. If you go to storage, now if you look here, there's no EBS attaching to my web server instances. Because why? Because we have deleted this instance. So now it says it's terminated. So at this stage, we should be able, when we refresh here, that 8 GB instance should be disappear. So let's see. So voila, everything is gone. So I'm pretty sure that, but then the 8 GB volume has now disappeared. Only my 4 GB volume is left. And if I go to instance console, if I go to my instance console, which here, well, so my instance 62 console, well, it says that my first instance has been terminated, as you can see here. So that's the reason that the 8 GB instance is being disappeared is the fact that it has been created as we was making this instance. So again, this is such an interesting topic about EBS. If you have any concern about EBS volume, you could always reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to study together. So how to attach EBS volume to EC2 Linux. I just show you all the steps. So create the volume, attach the volume to EC2 instance, verify if the volume is attached or not, and check if the volume has any data using the following command. So how do I create the EBS volume to attach into an instance? Can EBS volume be attached? Yes, it is. So what is the best way to move an EBS volume currently attached to an EC2 instance from one availability zone into another? So let's just check this one. So it says detach. That's pretty obvious, right? Detach the volume, then use the EC2 migration volume command to move it into another availability zone. So again, how many EC2 volume can a single EC2 instance be attached to? So most bare metal instances support a maximum of 31 EBS volume. High memory virtualized instance support a maximum of 27 EBS volume. But again, guys, what's the default EBS volume size for EC2? Say 8 to 10. So you can specify the volume size for 10 gigabit by default. Even though that when you create an instance, it gives you 8 gigabit per see here, and create an instance. Let's say I want to call this my web server. My web server. Let's see how many. See? So even though that it says 10, but here even though it says 10 here, but by default, it looks like the console is giving us 8 gigabit by default. So I'm not sure. If I would ask this in an interview, I would say 8, but the system says 10. But again, guys, thank you so very much for following along. Stay tuned for another lab configuration. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.